Hi everyone, welcome to the video, and this one is about my stock photography and videography earnings for the month of July 2021. And July was a bit of a strange month for me and my family. Two members of my close family contracted COVID-19 in the beginning of the month, and so that was really unusual. Luckily, both members have made a full recovery. One had been vaccinated once and one was under 14, so the effects of coronavirus or COVID-19 were really minor on their body, luckily. So it was just like getting a mild cold for them. But the other one was older, but they had a Pfizer vaccine, and maybe that helped in reducing the symptoms of the COVID-19 effect on their body. Luckily, I had been vaccinated for the second time just 1 or 2 days before they tested positive, and I didn't have any problems at all, and I tested twice negative for COVID-19, so I dodged a bullet with that one. And the other member of our family, they'd been vaccinated once, and they were also younger, so they also didn't contract it. So it was a strange old month where we were stuck inside for a lot of it. But just last week I did manage to get out, and like a man let out of prison, I managed to get out with my 400mm lens and do a lot of wildlife photography. And I also went for some walks on the beach in the morning, and during one of those walks I was lucky, or I came across a harbour porpoise that had been washed up on the beach, and it was very unfortunate for the harbour porpoise. It had died. But I managed to get some very rare footage with my iPhone at 60 frames at 4K of the harbour porpoise on the sand with the waves and the sea in the background, and also some photos. So I uploaded 2 or 3 video clips of that scene and about 15 photos to all of the agencies. And so far I haven't sold any, but we'll wait another few months and see if that produces some results. When I went out with my long wildlife lens, I took a lot of photos of storks and feeding spoonbills at some nearby wildlife reserves, and I got some amazing photos of these spoonbills. And the kinds of fish that they were hunting were massive compared to what I expected spoonbills to capture. So I was really happy with those shots. And I got lots of photos of birds in flight, of geese and some storks as well. So that's just a little update of what's been happening in July for me. And without further ado, we will get into my stock photography earnings for the month. So we'll get into Adobe Stock first, and Adobe Stock had a bit of an average month in July. I managed to sell 19 photos, and I have a portfolio of 1,041 images with Adobe Stock. And a couple of things I noted with Adobe was that I sold 2 photos of my daffodil shot, where I go really low and get the daffodils against a nice blue sky background. And I also sold 2 photos of some VW combis. I also had been accepted by Adobe Stock to upload editorial photos, so that was really good, because for the past 4 years I've only been uploading commercial photos to Adobe Stock, and I think this notice was on my my window of Adobe Stock for a couple of months, and because it was in Dutch, I just didn't take any notice of it, or I missed it. So I uploaded around 200 of my best editorial photos to Adobe Stock, and one of those photos, which was of a DHL cargo jet plane, was sold. So I'm really happy with that. I think it sold for about 33 cents. It wasn't a huge amount, but at least some progress is being made there where I can expand my portfolio and hopefully improve my chances of more sales. So one of the highlights of Adobe Stock this month was a wildlife photo of an urban fox that I took at the Hoek van Holland. And the Hoek van Holland is the port near Rotterdam where a lot of ferries that leave to go to England depart from. And this fox was just sniffing around some seating near a cafe nearby. So that was good, and it sold for 33 cents. That was less good. I was hoping for a bigger sale for that, but you can't get everything you want. And another highlight for Adobe Stock was that I sold a still image of some hard drives, my old hard drives that were stacked in a pile on a white background. And that sold for a price of $8.09, so I'm really happy with that. In total, I earned $20.21 for Adobe Stock in the month of July. Okay, now we're looking at Getty Stock, and in July I had 27 downloads, and 2 of those were video sales. I have a portfolio of 1,289 images and 59 videos. Those 2 videos that I sold were of the usual gannet trapped in plastic on the beach, and they sold for a total of $3.34 for the 2 of those videos. There were 3 photo highlights for Getty Stock for July, and one of them was of a small red and what they call micro cars in the Netherlands. And a lot of people use these cars if they have some kind of handicap in this country, and they're very small and very underpowered. They can go on bike paths, and sometimes you see them on footpaths. And I came across this red one in my neighbourhood, and it was just, I think, sitting on the footpath or close to the footpath of a city street. And that was an editorial photo, and it earned me 32 cents. The next photo was a commercial photo which I took on the island of Goeree Overflokke near Zeeland in the south of the country. And it's a very picturesque tree-lined country road that's on top of what we call a dike, which keeps floodwaters out of fields and elevates the road above any water that will come. And this dike was lined by trees, and it just made for a picturesque photo. It could potentially be used for book covers or any other conceptual needs of a buyer. That photo earned me 42 cents. And my last photo was, even though it earned the least out of all 3, it gave me the most amount of satisfaction. And that's a photo of a sperm whale jawbone. It's unfortunate that the remains of a whale was found at this location, but it's such a rare find, and it really teaches you to open your eyes and look at things like a stock photographer. I was in Hobart, which is an old whaling town, and I was visiting my sister who'd moved into a house not long before, and we came across this piece of bone sticking out of some bushes, or it just looked like a piece of bleached wood. So we pulled this bone out, and to my amazement, it was the lower jawbone of a sperm whale. And she thought, oh, I don't know what to do with this. And I said, just keep it because it's an actual artifact of the whaling history. It's also a reminder of that sad history for the whales. But I also made sure I took the whalebone out and lay it on her lawn, and I just photographed it from every angle. And I sold that shot for a whole 27 cents. But it just shows that you can find stock photos in the most unexpected places. So always keep your eyes and your imagination open for these possibilities. And the last photo that I'd like to highlight for Getty Stock was of a hand of a young person holding a cannabis joint on the streets of Amsterdam. And I was just walking around Amsterdam one day taking stock photos, and I came across these two American tourists, and I just asked if I could take a photo of his hand holding the joint with the canal in the background, a typical Amsterdam canal in the background. And he said yes. So from that photo I earned 54 cents. So it teaches me to always ask people if I can take a photo, especially do it if you do it politely. Don't risk getting stabbed or shot. Only do it if it's safe. But often the people you approach will say yes. And I only photographed his hand, so I didn't need a model release form or anything like that. And I sold that, I think, as a commercial because there was no identifiable property in it either. So in total I earned $11.79 with iStock Getty. A long descriptive speech about it, but I didn't really earn that much for July with Getty Images. Okay, now into my really low earning agencies. There's 4 of them this month. The first one is Big Stock, and I've got a portfolio of 1,791 images, and I made 3 sales in July for a total of 75 cents. One of the highlights, well, one photo that gave me a lot of pleasure in selling was of a set photo of a spoon filled with chocolate sprinkles, and it was just I think I did it while I was making a food photography video, so it just gives me a lot of satisfaction to make a sale with one of those shots. With 123RF I've got a similar amount of images, probably a few more because I upload more to 123RF than I do to Big Stock. And for 123RF I made 65 cents in total, and one of the photos that surprised me was that sold was only 21 cents, but it was of a lot of wasps crawling over a rotting piece of fruit. It was in our backyard, and the piece of fruit was a pear, and I tried to get a bit of a green background in it as well, which was actually our green recycling bin. So I was happy to see that photo sell. So the next agency is IEM, and I only had 1 photo sale for that agency this month, and it was actually of my favourite wildlife photograph that I've ever made. And I took this photo about 10 years ago. I went to a wildlife reserve called the Oostvaardersplassen, and I hired a Canon 100 to 400mm Mark I lens, and I went with a group that paid a guide to take us into the wildlife reserve at dawn and at dusk. And this photo was taken at dawn, just as we were coming into the reserve, the sealed off area where no one can come in. And the sky was just filled with this golden light, and we passed this rise in the landscape where there was an embankment. And just as we stopped there to look at a group of red deer in the distance, behind us, this massive red deer stag just climbed up onto the embankment with the rising sun, or the light of the rising sun behind it, and it made for this really iconic image, and it's my favorite wildlife image to date. It was taken 10 years ago, but that shot only sold for 29 cents. But it reminded me of that fantastic weekend when we went to the Ospartas Plaza. And for deposit photos, I sold 7 photos. I've got a portfolio of 1,950 images, and I made a total of $1.66 for deposit photos. In total for those 4 agencies, I made $4.10. Okay, now to Alamy, and I've had a dry spell with Alamy for a number of months now, and I'm happy to say that I did make a sale for Alamy in July. I'm unhappy to say that it wasn't one of these sales that were above the $50 mark, but the Alamy sale did earn more than your average microstock photo. It was of a tiger snake moving along a fence on an earthen ground. And that photo I managed to find online was published by a British national newspaper called The Guardian. And it was used in an article called "I Found a Snake in My Toilet, Holiday Disasters." Great stuff. Fantastic article. And they used my photo. And for that national newspaper, I only received $7.87. And I haven't received it yet. It's sold for $7.87. And I think I get that payment when that customer pays their bill. So that was great to break the drought with Alamy, and also great to see where my photo was used. Okay, and now with Shutterstock. I had a momentous month with Shutterstock with some really bizarre things going on with video sales. But before I get into that, if anything in this video has been fun, interesting or helpful to you, please whack on the like button, and that will help my channel out immensely. Or if you think this video is helpful to friends or family, feel free to share it and hit on that share button as well. If you want to go the extra step further, then you could also support my family by buying me a cup of coffee, and that'll just help me buy new computer equipment and new SD cards and all that kind of stuff. So thanks very much for that. And let's get into Shutterstock. I sold in total 120 assets for Shutterstock this month, which is my highest amount of sales since November of 2020. So it was really good to break that cycle of sales going down. And also the amount of money I made was the most that I've made since November of 2020 as well. So that was really good. Actually, I think the 120 sales that I got, it is the most amount of sales that I've had since May 2019. So that was definitely a really strong boost for my portfolio for Shutterstock. Okay, so out of those 120 sales, I sold dozens and dozens of videos. So I think that helped me also go up another level with my commission rates with Shutterstock as a videographer, and I now am at level 3 with my videography, which means I earn, I think, 25% or 30%. I'll put the amount on the video. Some highlights were also with video. I sold a iPhone video which I took back in the winter. I think it was back in February or March. We were going through a lot of snowstorms at the time, and I went for a walk just around the streets where I live, and I saw I think it was a Citroen electric car plugged into an electric car charger while the snow was falling down, and there was also snow on the ground. And I took that video at 60 frames at 4K, and I'm happy to say I sold that video on Shutterstock for $17.42, which makes a nice change from selling my Gannet trapped in plastic videos, and also that I sold it with my taking the file from my iPhone, which is really satisfying. As I said, I sold dozens of other videos, and they were of Gannet trapped in plastic, and most of them were sub $5, and a substantial amount of them were sold for like 25 cents or 75 cents. So that was really disappointing. If I had sold those dozens of photos also for $10 or $20, I probably would have had a record month with Shutterstock. But as the commission rates have gone down, and with the subscription rates being at 10, 11 cents, which I sold dozens of as well, that also took a chunk out of my bottom line with Shutterstock, which could have been a lot more hopeful or positive than what it actually was. But it was still a record month for 2021. And with photos, I had a highlight also with my flower photos with the daffodils, the same photo that I talked about for the previous agencies, and I sold that photo for $11.41, which is a real boost and a really positive sign. It made me feel really good to get a decent price for one of my photos. And also those daffodil photos, they just keep on selling, even though you know, we've bypassed the flower season here in the northern hemisphere. I guess other parts of the world still have a need for those photos, so they're a real strong earner, those flower photos, I'm happy to say. Another nice single photo was of an editorial photo I took in Tasmania 4 or 5 years ago on a summer's morning, and it's just of a couple of kayakers on the beach getting ready to go off into the water, and that photo sold for $6.25. So in total for Shutterstock for the month of July 2021, I earned $71.95. And in total for the month of July 2021, I earned a total amount for my stock photography and stock videography of $115.92, which is pretty good. Fairly satisfied with it. I uploaded a lot of photos of the beached porpoise during the month, and also some videos. I think normally it would have taken me just 2 hours to do that uploading, but one of the agencies, and I think we all know which one that is, kept rejecting the files for some strange reason. It said English translation required, and I think they were talking about the Latin name I used for the porpoise. So in a couple of the files where I got that rejection notice, I actually had to take out the Latin name of the porpoise, which just defies all logic. and I had to upload the videos and photos up to 3 times. So that took a lot more time than it should have taken. So $115 for 5 hours work is pretty good. And I can see things taking a positive turn for the second half of 2021 so far. Well, that's it, guys. I hope it was fun for you. It was a great month for me. I had, except for fighting off COVID-19, I had a good month with stock photography, and I'll see you on the next video. Look after yourselves, and I hope your month went as well as mine. Please let me know in the comments how you went and what highlights you had and what disappointments you had, and I look forward to replying. Alright, all the best. See you later. Bye.